Unai, to Joanna, Alpe, who is the CEO and founder of Makelight, which has a fantastic and innovative product. And we also have Unai and Mimenza from Practice Your Music, which is, I think, a novel and interesting take on what could be doing with music. And as for myself, I'm the CEO and founder of Charla, which is an application that lets you share data using sound. So I think what we'd really like to do is perhaps kick off with Jonathan to tell us a little bit about himself, how he comes to be working with Shazam, what Shazam are currently up to. We've seen a big change in strategic direction from Shazam. Some of you may know Shazam, the only smartphone or feature phone application worth using for many years, and now very heavily moving into both brands and music tagging beyond simple track identification. Jonathan.
Yes, thank you. So I've been with Shazam now for about 6 years. Before, you might not know, but yeah, before the iPhone and Android apps launched, we were a text-based service. So you would bring up Shazam through your phone and receive a text message back. So technology was a little bit ahead of its time, but it helped us amass a store of tracks. We can now recognise over 35 million tracks in Shazam. And I guess, yeah, what's been great about being part of Shazam and seeing its growth is just seeing the sheer scale of our company now. We recently, this week, surpassed the 400 million download mark globally. So yeah, over 400 million people have downloaded Shazam to their phone. I'm sure there's a few of you in the room now. But just to give you guys a bit of an idea as to what we do in terms of monthly and weekly usage, we're now seeing over 77 million monthly active users of Shazam, and that's active users, not just total users. To put that into a weekly kind of scale, or daily rather, we're seeing around 15 million tracks recognised a day through Shazam. The good thing for artists and labels, as I'm sure there's some of you in the room today, Shazam is just a cool piece of software that allows somebody to find out the name of your song. It gives them a direct purchase link. So whether you're on iPhone or Android, we can link through to our partner stores, and someone can Shazam and then purchase your music. We're now Apple, or iTunes rather, largest affiliate partner worldwide on mobile. So in terms of the 50 million songs recognised today through Shazam, around 5 to 8% click through to actually purchase the music. Last year alone, there was over $300 million worth of digital goods transacted through Shazam. And as mentioned, briefly there, Shazam's moved from not just a music discovery app, but a media discovery tool in general. So you can now use Shazam with adverts. You may have seen the Shazam logo on some TV shows here in Spain and adverts in Spain. So you can connect an audience using the second screen, so the tablet or their phone, to your ad campaign that's on the TV. It's a pretty valuable piece of real estate where you're literally sucking the advert out of the TV so the user can interact with it and go back to it at another time. So that's been the real kind of development for us over the last few years rather, moving from just a music discovery tool, but interacting with TV shows, adverts, live broadcasts. And there's going to be more from us in terms of that space, developing that over the next few years. Some exciting kind of product developments as well, which I can vaguely kind of mention, but our aim really over the next year or so is to continue to get more people to use Shazam. We're still adding 2 million new users a week to the service, but we want to give them more reasons to come back to Shazam, whether it's unlocking cool extra content, pricing opportunities, and giving them more opportunities to find more things.
Okay, thank you very much. Shazam is big. I'd like to repeat that. Shazam is big. If you think of a big thing, double it, add 30. Shazam is slightly larger. So what I'd like to do now, because we're interested in innovation and Shazam continues to innovate, albeit on the same path, is talk to someone from the startup world. I'd like to ask Joanna Alpe to tell you a little bit about what she's up to, which is fairly cool technology you need to know about.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Joanna. So we are building a smartphone application that can turn your audience at a live event into an amazing light show and video show. But I'm from a creative background, so graphic design and photography, and I always think pictures speak a whole lot louder than words. So I think there's a little video, maybe we could play that now. Hopefully this will give you an idea of what we're building. So this is an example of what we're up to. Maybe. While that's going on, how many people are in bands in the room? Are artists? Cool.
Okay, maybe having a technical issue, maybe you could describe what Makelight does.
Okay, how many people here saw the Olympic Games opening ceremony? So if you did, you might have noticed in the stadium, they turned the whole audience into like a kind of video. So they had, what they did there is they had pixel panels that sat on the back of people's seats, and they could take a video feed, so video file, and they could send that out to all of the seats in the stadium. So what we do is a similar thing to that, but all over your mobile phone. So if you imagine you're playing at a huge venue and you ask all of your audience to hold up their phones and wave them in the air, we can then start broadcasting a video file out to those phones. We can locate them, and so we essentially turn people into pixels. So one person is one pixel in the video display. So we call it smart special effects because it's a new generation of special effects. It's like a laser on stage or a smoke machine or having your big video screens, but it's smart because you're actually connecting directly to the audience right where they are, and it's on their personal phone. So because it's on their personal smartphone, there's a lot we can start to do. Once we've got all that attention and we've captured that kind of interest, we can start sharing different things with them. You can link with them to download tracks or to buy merchandise. We can talk to them before the show, we can talk to them after the show. So it's really actually creating an engagement platform that you can start to leverage as part of your show and part of your delivery of the live event.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's very much more than just a replacement for the cigarette lighter at the beginning. As you can see, you can actually leverage that platform to send media and get a deeper engagement with people at live events. So just pursuing the live theme and how people interact with music in non-obvious ways, I'd like to ask Unai and Mimenza from Practice Your Music, who has again a kind of interesting take on what can be done with music apps. It's not about discovery, it's not about engagement, it's about something a bit different.
Well, we're a local company from Bilbao that develops this software called Practice Your Music. Okay, the idea behind the software is that you have a band in your computer, your laptop, so you can practice with them. You are real musicians. You can say you play the guitar, you've got some partners playing with. Okay. You can interact with them in several ways, but I've got a video, if it's working, I'll ask the guy. Okay, let me tell you about the application while I load the video. So we record the band playing. We multi-track and we multi-beat in. Okay, there you go. Press play.
We'll get the Makelight one at the end.
We need volume.
Music is an application that helps you practice your musical instrument. It comes in various formats. The web version can be used from Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. Just point your browser at our website and log in. If you use Chrome, you can also download the app from the Chrome Store. If you're on Facebook, there's a special version of Practice Your Music for you. Share and recommend your playlists and activities with your friends. If you're using the Windows 8 operating system, we also have a specific version of the modern UI. You can download it from the Windows Store. The library is the starting point from which to choose from the tracks you can access. From here, you can sort the tracks to find the ones you're most interested in, and access a file with detailed descriptions of the tracks. Once you've selected the track you want to work with, you'll see a number of musicians on screen playing the piece of music you selected. You can interact with the musicians in different ways. Control volume, mute the instrument, or listen to it playing on its own. View the score for each instrument. To be sure you don't miss out on any details, you can view the musicians from close Enjoy practice your music and practice your favorite instrument on your desktop, laptop, or tablet. Practice your music. Music at your fingertips.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you, Unai. If you thought the world didn't need more musicians, you're wrong. And hopefully this is going to help increase the supply side of music rather than the simple demand side of music. So now I'm going to come to Daniel Bocek, who's founder of two companies, you should know about, two organisations anyway, Newtracks and Beatguide.
Totally true. Hello there, thanks for the invitation, thanks for the nice introduction. Yes, so I founded a couple of years ago my first company right after school, which is called Newtracks, and we develop music games. We recently, well not that recently actually, 1.5 years ago, we launched a game called Bands on Facebook, which is a game for kids where they can form virtual bands with their Facebook friends and play along to tracks that we licensed. The business model behind it is pretty straightforward. The kids can play it for free and then they can pay extra for virtual items for their band avatars, which is t-shirts, now we're speaking virtual merchandise articles from bands that we license that they can purchase for like €1 maybe. And this is Bands, and then the other company I started in March with a couple of friends is called Beatguide, which is an electronic music event platform and community. Because we think there are a lot of like event discovery applications or platforms out there, you know, like Songcake or you name it. But we think that actually events are very niche, you know. Like, Songcake tries to cover everything from classical to rock concerts. And we try to go back from that and only cover electronic music because we think that we can provide like a stronger service to actually the electronic music. And the business model behind this is, well, we take a commission on the tickets that we sell and on promoter services. And yeah, that's it from me.
Right. Now, do you think we can risk running some video, or is that now off the menu? Any chance to run some web video? Does that work? No. Okay. Never mind. This is the point at which I would have shown you a video, but instead I will just show you a very quick product demo about what Chirp is. So Chirp is a platform that turns sound into data, and is based on looking at birdsong and how birds communicate. And so we take that idea and create a platform which allows you to embed some data, and not just identification data, but any data. And I'm going to ask the lovely Daniel to hold up my phone, be my assistant for the moment now, to show you what Chirp does. Let's say I want to share a picture with Daniel. I have that picture on my Android device. Watch the screen carefully now, ladies and gentlemen. Bingo! There, by the miracle of sound, we have transferred some data. And one is not supposed to sell the product, but of course I implore you to download it for your own devices and tell your friends about the service. And so I got into startup land by a very circuitous route. Thank you, Daniel. I've been an audio nerd for many, many years. I currently work with an organisation called the Radiophonics Workshop, which is an Arts Council UK and BBC funded experimental audio group. And I've also worked in advertising as a marketing director. So Chirp is marketing technology. When those transactions occur, we create some analytics, and that's of use to advertisers and broadcasters. And so Chirp can be used in-store to share coupons, vouchers, product information as well. And of course you could embed a Chirp or a variant of a Chirp in a regular piece of music. So there are some commonalities with Shazam, although I should say we are a startup and not of the enormous size that Shazam is. Did I mention Shazam was big? Shazam is big. So what we're seeing today, I think the best way to understand the internet we have now is like a forest. We have some extraordinarily large trees, Facebooks, which are a benefit to people like Daniel. The fact that Apple producing high quality development platforms for all of us to use. And these are kind of immovable trees blocking out the light for a lot of us. But then of course you have the startup community, of which I'm proud to be a member. And we're trying to create innovative technologies stuff that people haven't thought of in the larger organisations or have yet to grow to the kind of level of scale where you're a product that's got achieved some measure of ubiquity. And then, of course, with all new technologies will come an appropriate business model, some way to monetize what it is you actually do in order to keep it rocking. And I think we are starting to see some innovation now. There's a common theme to this panel. It's not so much about pure discovery. It's all about, can you add some discovery from a brand, say, for example? Can you add some discovery for a particular niche? Or can you create a completely new form of engagement platform, which we think we're doing? I certainly think that Joanna's doing, and Unai's doing that in particular, kind of large horizontal, which is anyone who wants to play music. So I'd just like to ask Daniel, obviously Facebook gives you a lot of momentum, and it's an interesting platform to work on. It's not one, oddly, that's been so sort of tightly associated with music in a kind of MySpace-y sense. Can you tell us a little bit about the delights or otherwise of working with Facebook?
Well, the delights, I mean, of course they changed over the last years. When we started out with bands, it was still kind of, this viral craze. You could easily get users from other users. It was, you posted it on the wall, and we could really see that, okay, people share way more, and new users came in. That changed dramatically, and now wall posts are pretty much blocked, and Facebook is constantly changing. The delights, however, is that a lot of people are still on Facebook. The teens slowly try to go away, but still you have like 1 billion users that you can reach. However, reaching costs a lot of money at the moment. When we started, we could acquire a user for, let's say, 15 cents, because we could target them specifically through games and music, which is a combination that was quite rare when we started out, and still is actually. And so it was cheap, but by now, it costs us €1 to acquire a user. So, to summarize what you asked me, it's great because you can reach a lot of users through Facebook, but you have to be aware that it also costs you a lot of money to reach those users.
Okay, and so I guess the other trend that we're seeing in app development is that, of course, on a technical level, it just gets cheaper every time. It's no longer an application that doesn't seem to be quite so magical as it did some years ago. It's really just a web page that's served to your device. And anyone who's worked with developers will know there's a significant amount of arbitrage, by which I mean it's a lot cheaper if you wanted to do your development in Eastern Europe, if you wanted to do your development in India, if you wanted to do it in China, whatever. So that's really pushing the cost of launching something down. But at the same time, we're seeing the cost of acquiring customers is really rising and rising and rising because there's more noise in the system. So Joanna, I know you've been doing some partnerships with bands and brands. Maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about that to help solve that customer acquisition problem.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in terms of there are so many apps out there. There's so much noise in the marketplace, and so what I think is really crucial is that it's not just an app to have another app on your device, but what's the experience associated with that application. And so I think for us with Makelight, I don't see Makelight as an app, it's an experience. So it's connected incredibly closely with being part of a fantastic live show and a fantastic live experience. So to me, it's an augmentation of that live experience rather than how many different apps can you have on your device. So I think in terms of acquiring users, for us, it's absolutely got to be in partnership with artists. So our background was working in live events, and our founder team is combined, we've got over 40 years experience of doing gigs, setting up, staging, production, lighting, photography, the whole gamut of working creatively in the live event space. So the real motivation for making Makelight was to provide something really dynamic and really interesting for artists to use. So it's got to be partnership with the artist for us. It's got to be something that from stage, the artist is saying, right, everyone get your hands in the air, I want you to be part of my show, part of what I'm doing. And to us, that's the acquisition strategy. Once they've encouraged their fans to get on board, and we've seen that in our testing, as soon as the artists love it and they want to use it, then people download it.
I'm interested to know what kind of content do the artists want to give after they've got that sort of engagement moment? And what kind of media, what kind of engagement rates are you getting? I don't know if you can talk about that, but what's the next step after you've got someone into your ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. So we're still pretty startup in that regard. But certainly the artists are really excited about continuing the conversation on after the live event. So the live event is crucial. We all know that the business model is totally changing around music. It's gone from this recorded, lots of physical sales to streaming and the live experience. So where we work is purely in the live space. I think artists, the management, the promoters, the venues are all looking for how they can maximise that live experience to its optimum. So things like, as you're leaving the venue, you can get digital souvenirs, you can get photographs of yourself taking part in a Makelight display, having that kind of little breadcrumb effect. So it wasn't just something you experienced for an hour or 2 hours, but it was something that you could build a narrative around that experience. So the lead up to that live experience and after the live experience as you go on. So those are the sorts of things that we're talking about with our clients and what artists that we're in discussion with are interested in building into the app as well.
Can you name any of those exciting artists and clients, or is that under various NDAs?
Some of the artists, some of the artist stuff, unfortunately, is still very, very early days. But we've so far worked in really well with brands, so that's probably something else I should mention. Brands love this idea that they can really connect to not only an artist, but also to the artist fans in quite an authentic way. So rather than it just being slap on a brand, slap on a logo, and it's, the artist gets a bit of cash and a bit of sponsorship, but there's not really an authentic connection. I think the brands are seeing this as a way to actually really facilitate something that's quite authentically part of the live show. So the brands that we've worked with so far are O2, Telefonica, Samsung, Nokia, and we've done some trials with BBC's Radio 1. So we're really seeing the traction from the brands is quite significant. But we built this for the artists and for the artist show, so that's really what we're quite focused on.
Okay, very exciting. Well done. Unai, I wonder if I could ask you, so it seems to me that the kind of level of engagement you want from your users is pretty deep. And we've seen obviously a lot of music creation applications in the gaming space. Musically, of course, they're pretty trivial, but they may act as a kind of entry drug for people who want to start getting serious about making music. So tell me, that's clearly your challenge. How are you going to go about addressing that?
Well, the idea came from a necessity to us, because one of my partners used to have the music teaching school, right? And he used to sell, record tapes, just cassette tapes, with him playing, slow them down, and give them to his students, right? So this is where all the idea came from. So in terms of engagement, I think if we find the right people, if the right people know about our application, they'll the musicians that are using it, they love it. So I think that's not a big problem for us. What we need is people to get to know the application, to get access to it, to get content, to get known artists to record in our format. That's one of the main issues we have right now. But I think once you try it, and if you're interested in it, and if you're a musician, it's a simple idea, but I think it's quite useful for them, for us. So.
Okay, perhaps you should be on Facebook. Just saying. Okay, Jonathan, customer acquisition. Well, I'm not going to say it's not a problem because it is always a problem. How are you going to make people understand that there's now more to Shazam than just music identification as a kind of raw tell me that track? And obviously you're working in partnership with people who've got considerable consumer reach already. But how are you going to carry the story forward?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I mean, how we've done it so far in collaborating with brands has been quite simple. It's adding the Shazam logo to an advert or a TV show, but then the key behind that is building some custom and engaging experience around that brand or show that encourages somebody to come back. I mean, we're pretty lucky because we have the scale we have already, that it's not you're not asking somebody to go download an app that they don't use in the space of time of a very short advert. Quite often or not, in between the commercial breaks especially, you're probably sat there on Twitter or on Facebook playing about on your tablet or your phone anyway. So if you see a 2-minute long advert with a Shazam logo, it's quite intriguing. Initially that's what catches you. And I guess how we build upon that is getting people used to Shazamming, Shazamming TV shows, Shazamming brands, and making sure that, as I said, it's a custom and an engaging experience each time. I mean, we've done a bunch of different things with, it's primarily in the US as well at the moment, we're out doing a lot more around Europe. So the Country Music Awards that were in the States last week, you could use Shazam to unlock extra pieces of content within that show. There was about 7 or 8 extra bits of behind-the-scenes footage or exclusive tracks. And our kind of aim here is to sort of leverage our existing relationships with labels and networks to try and make sure we get as much exclusive content as possible. And I think that's the key as well, and it's the hard thing to get. And that's what everyone wants to see, is that how can we do something new, how can we do something different? And I think that is, we have many brands who we've done repeat campaigns with, so we're obviously doing something right. We're leveraging enough people to interact with their brand in a certain way that they like it and they're coming back to us. But I think the key is making sure that we give people something new and interesting, but how we repeat that is a challenge.
Yeah, okay. So obviously the approach, when you're at the bottom, you need to have sort of a much tighter focus. You're just broadening your product. But Daniel, obviously, you're taking with, certainly with Beatguide, you're taking a niche approach to the electronic music community, which seems like the smart thing to do. Certainly the thing that launched services like Beatport, of course, in the music provision space. Can you talk to me a little bit about Beatguide? It's easy to say we're going to pick a niche and conquer that, and obviously a lot harder to do.
Yes. So how did we come to start Beatguide? Well, it's actually a funny story because we like me and my friends who started the company, it's actually 4 of us, including me. We like to go out, and in Berlin. We are Berlin locals and we know the scene and it's all pretty easy. But when we go to other cities, especially like London, which we went before we started Beatguide, it gets way more difficult to find out, okay, what is the cool event for the evening? Because in the electronic music scene, you have a lot of, a massive amount of DJs. And most likely you don't know the sound of the DJ. So you can go to sites like Resident Advisor and see, okay, look, this is going on tonight. But then Resident Advisor doesn't provide enough information, or didn't provide enough information for us. They only said, this is going on in London tonight, but then we had to separately to go to SoundCloud to find out that the sound of the DJ, is it house, or is it techno, or is it R&B, whatever, trip hop. And then we had to go to another site, which is Google Maps, to find out, okay, how do we get from Shoreditch to this club in the West End, as we are not local. So we started to combine all the information that is necessary to make a decision of where you want to go in one application for ourselves. And then we spread it with all our friends, and they all seemed to like it, and we used it in Berlin, we used it in London and Amsterdam. And then we decided, okay, so as our friends like it, and we grew within a month, we grew to 500 users, so they all, of course, test flight accounts. We decided, okay, let's do a business out of this, because there's obviously the need that people would like to know where to go out to, and they want to have it concentrated. They don't want to go to a platform. Lots of them also offer the service of where you go in studio, or Songkick, where you, as long as you follow artists, you get constantly bombarded with emails, even though, actually you just want to know where to go out tonight. You don't want to receive emails when the Foo Fighters are playing next in your city, which is probably in a year from now. And then actually when we started building or started to commercialize the product, we found out that actually this is pretty smart, because the web approach, and I've been early adopter in App Store. I was 13 years old, so I know the tech scene quite well. And since the Web 2.0 stuff, that was this thing a couple of years ago, and everybody tried to go as broad as possible, we think actually that now we are approaching a time where having sharp verticals is the key to success. Because well, because otherwise you get overflooded with information that's not relevant to you. That's also why, in my opinion, a lot of teens move away from Facebook at the moment, because they enter Facebook at a very late stage, which I consider Facebook now. It's a late stage, probably it's there since 6 years or even more. I think something like this. And now when new kids enter, like let's say a 12-year-old enters Facebook now, is bombarded with all the features that Facebook slowly added over the years. You know, they have advertising, they have branding stuff, like brand commercials everywhere. It's just Facebook is a mess in my opinion at the moment. It's all over the place. And now they go to services like Snapchat, which offer a way more strict way of dealing with things, which is just you send a message and you get a message back and the message gets deleted. And yeah, so long story short, I think the vertical is the way to go. And Beatguide is now grown to 10,000 users within half a year, and we didn't even do any advertising or marketing, we didn't even spend any marketing money. So it gives us a good feeling that this way of targeting a niche is a good thing.
Okay, and so the idea is, of course, I think with all of these things, I presume that we can monetizing all the extra services, but you've got a very tight core of interest in the middle, so you could be giving out not just tickets, but hotels and travel, etc. Is that the plan?
No, actually that's not planned. So the thing is, we take commission on the tickets, and we sell special services to promoters. So we have, if you can check out, we have an Android web and the iPhone app, so you can check it out if you want to. We have a banner on top of all those applications for each city. We are live in 15 cities by now. And the banner shows like 5 selected events over the next 7 days. And we are going to sell those to promoters. And it's a pretty straightforward monetization. And also another thing, like, I think it's also a switch in the whole startup community, at least in my experience in Berlin, I don't know how this is running, is that founders slowly feel comfortable with actually starting medium-sized businesses instead of aiming for the big billion exit that will most likely never come. So we are not trying to cover as much things as possible or do other verticals. We just try to build a solid company that covers the burn rate and leaves a decent profit by the end of the year that we can give out to the shareholders. Because Beatguide is never, I mean, just because it's a niche, you can also not expect that you will have a multi-billion-dollar business.
Okay, so slow and organic from a community point of view. I think you make an interesting point that we've seen all these broad-ranging services, the Facebooks and Twitter, etc., and clearly they're collapsing now a little bit into special interest people who do have their particular musical niche. Although I would steer clear of trip-hop, I think that's fully dead. As dead as Belgian New Beat, perhaps. Okay. Unai, are you interested in particular, is it verticals there, or is it just, I mean, I know you've got some conversations with other musical editors, or are you trying to go quite broad into different genres? There's a lot of electronic music education, because obviously it comes with software and stuff that one can download immediately. What's your approach?
Well, at the moment, we've got 3 styles of music in application, which is classical music, very worldwide, very easy, Mozart. We've got jazz and blues. Obviously, the genders you can approach are infinite. I mean, just local music here, just local music anywhere, I don't know, in Germany, anywhere. So we got a little. We just released the application like in September. So we started with classical music, no rights. It was easy, Mozart. Everybody knows Mozart all around the world. It's easy for students that play piano, violin, or whatever. Then we thought, well, let's do some blues and some jazz. Obviously, our message there will be more popular music, kind of, pop music, rock music. I don't know, for kids that want to start playing the guitar or whatever, that's lots of them. But about niches, you said, yeah. I think even if we just did jazz, for example, there's so many people that play jazz in the world. That's, it's just enough for us. I mean, what we want, be ideal for us is, to go to a mainstream artist, release a single in this format, so people, know us, basically.
Sure. So we kind of drifted into startup economics, which is actually really relevant at every scale. I'd just be interested to know how many people in the audience are involved with or have startups or harbour a secret, dirty desire to do a startup of your own. Raise your hands. Okay. All right. I'm slightly disappointed to hear that, but because I can recommend it from a personal point of view. If you like pain, there's nothing better. Okay, so this is the point of the show in which I would like to invite some questions from the audience.
We're going to show the video.
Oh, we're going to show some videos. We have technology. Hooray! Okay, fantastic. Let's show my video.
We can only hope for the best right now. There we go. Makelight.
We live in a world of sound. Birds seem to communicate, so why not machines? A new app called Chirp does just that. Now you can share anything using sound. Press this button to chirp this picture. Anything that can make sound can send data. Use Chirp to share pictures, notes, and links. Available now at the App Store.
Right. Yes. So thanks for the videos. Good to see those. So now I'd just like to invite some questions from the floor. We've got a broad spectrum of interests across music and into sound. And please, any questions from the floor?
Yes, hello. You have talked about different ways to communicate with the street. One app when it is created. One of the things that I get very interesting is, for example, taking the bands as partners to spread your application. The other one is through Facebook, paying ads, I guess. But I wanted to know if you have, all the ideas you can share regarding this. How to, once you have your application, how to spread it will be really welcome.
Yes. So yeah, of course, Facebook ads. Yes, that's what we do also. But actually, I think we are similar to Makelight. We also have deals with artists for the Facebook applications, and also for Beatguide actually, where they kind of promote their appearances in the game or on our platform. So that's a valid option to do this. However, at least in our case, in my learning, I wouldn't have too high hopes unless the artist is really, really big, like Lady Gaga big. So we worked with one artist from Malaysia who has 5 million Facebook likes, and effectively, he promoted that he's in the game, in bands, a couple of times on his Facebook wall within a week. But the pure amount of users that we got from those posts were around 700. And so 5 million likes to 700 actual users that come into the game is pretty low. Of course, it can also be like our game is just not appealing, but yeah, we hoped for a higher ratio than just 0.something%. So
Okay, so that's one well-tested method, super friends. You need super friends, users will get their friends. Facebook, obviously, our experience with Facebook is you can get a lot of likes and a lot of thumbs up, but not perhaps that much engagement. With Chirp, anyway, we were picked up by the BBC when we launched quite early on, which was great for us. We became the #1 application in the UK, France, Germany, China, and top 20 app in 60 countries worldwide. And I think that was down to the fact that Chirp is a slightly odd and pretty quirky thing. And since then, a lot of our growth has been user get user. It's been word of mouth. So I think the key is to make sure that you've got something worth telling your friends about, whether it's through the medium of Facebook or through the medium of brand or band partnerships and sponsorships. And the amount of that is sitting there.
I guess one way you could do it is, going back to when we launched, as I mentioned, I was at Shazam before the old iPhone launched, and we've always been quite lucky. We've never really done any huge above-the-line marketing. We were featured. Apple picked us in one of the first ever iPhone commercials, which was obviously a huge amount of scale, and that spread us out worldwide. And I think overall we've been one of the top 10 most downloaded apps of all time. But as to how our secret of success in marketing that, it really has. It's been a lot of word of mouth. That's Shazam still, and I think it still today has that wow factor that when you use it to recognise a song, whether it's some kind of underground artist or wherever you are, it's something that you tend to not just use yourself, but you'll show your friends about it, and then it kind of magnifies out that way as well. We working together with kind of brands, and specifically what I've done in terms of co-marketing initiatives. We've done Shazam campaigns with some pretty big artists. We Shazam-enabled music video of Will.i.am, Justin Bieber. So when I say that, we've got the Shazam call to action in those artist videos. But that's through our existing relationships. So I think the challenge is to initially kind of build up, show people what you can do, then work together. And as you guys continue to build up and have scale, you can then show them what else you can do, build relationships that way. Hope that helps.
Great. So be a one thing. Just do one thing. And do it fantastically well, as Shazam do. Did you want to come back on that?
That was pretty much what I was going to say. I think, I really liked to hear what you were saying before about Facebook just, exploding into the supernova thing. I think having a single-minded proposition and being super clear about what that thing is for the users is so important right now. And so I think all of the propositions here have that sort of wow factor delight that when you share it with someone, it's a very simple conversation. It doesn't take 5 minutes to unpack or explain what you're doing. So I really encourage you to look at your communications or that single-minded proposition. What is that real quick, thing that how you communicate? I think that's massive for getting people to pick it up.
Great, thank you. Can we take another question?
Yeah, this is for Jonathan, actually. I represent Lyric Find, who's a partner with Shazam, and my role for Lyric Find is getting the different countries the independent publishers in different countries to sign for legal lyrics. And one of the things that we're doing, I just wanted to ask you what you think about this, is actually getting the rights to do legal lyric translations. So, i.e., if you Shazam something in Spanish, you can read it in English, or Chinese, or Japanese, or Portuguese, or Russian eventually. What do you think about that as an idea? I don't know if you've heard it within Shazam yet, but...
Yeah, obviously that's got huge potential. Just for the benefit of everyone else in the room, what we did with Lyric Find is a feature called Lyric Play in Shazam, where you actually, it streams the lyrics where you Shazam the song in real time. So if you're halfway through a Katy Perry song, you can tilt your phone to the side, and then we'll kind of karaoke style stream the lyrics through your phone, which is a great feature. We've seen some, real kind of positive reaction to it as well. And I think the idea there to expand it out, I think especially if you look at, how big karaoke is across Asia, Japan, China. That's obviously a huge potential. And I know it's something, we'd love to do that. So let's make it happen. Yeah.
Okay, you should definitely transact some business later. Anyone else have a question for the panel? One last question, and I think we should wrap it up. Okay, that's it. That's the end. Thank you very much. Just like to thank Jonathan from Shazam, Daniel from Beatguide, Joanna from Makelight, and Unai from Practice Your Music. Thank you and goodbye.